And this week we're talking about power bloating and the difference between where an arc starts and where an arc ends. So, I guess one example is start the Frieza arc, Goku normal, at the end of the arc, massive because Super Saiyan, that type of thing. Blah blah, big power shift. So, we're going to go through all of Dragon Ball and just discuss the different arcs, see which one the biggest bloat happened in,
Yeah.
I guess.
Where they went just a little bit too crazy, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, so what's your first thoughts on this? Where do you want to start with this?
Well, I think the way I look at it is, I think they obviously went too hard by the end of Super. By the end of Super, it just gone a bit too crazy. But I think they had it under control in the Saiyan saga, in my eyes. I think there was a justification. He earned it. He earned the Kaioken, in my opinion. He had to go. He had to go all the way to see King Kai. It took a long time. He had to stay there. He had to learn it. There was an entire justification to how he got that. And it still was only just enough to beat the bad guy. And I think all of that felt very earned, and there was everything behind it, and he didn't just get it. Whereas a lot of the later transformations were just kind of basically given for the most part. A lot of it was earned.
Kind of.
So I didn't really have a problem with things within the Saiyan arc. I felt whilst there was a big power boost from your main protagonist, it did feel earned.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the earned bit, but I disagree slightly. I think the power the power bump was a bit too much. Just because of the 1 year time skip. That's the only thing. Like, from Goku and Piccolo together struggling against Raditz and almost both of them almost dying, to Yamcha being as strong, well, being able to take out Cyberman by himself, which are on the same power level as Yamcha. The Goku coming back, being able to defeat Nappa with ease, who was over double the power level of Raditz, and also like another double on top of that to be able to go toe to toe with Vegeta. Like, I thought that power bump was a bit much because for so long Goku was the strongest guy. Even in the World Martial Arts tournaments during OG Dragon Ball, like the end of the saga, I guess, against Piccolo, there was kind of no match. Like, you can't say that Yamcha was anywhere close, or even Krillin or Tien at this point. In the last martial arts tournament, Goku was well above them. Piccolo was the only threat, pretty much. And then, yes, there is a time skip again from the end of OG Dragon Ball to Z, but you still know that Goku's way ahead, pretty much. And then all of a sudden, within 1 year of training, Yamcha's like, you know, like being cocky against a Cyberman who's the same power level as Raditz, who Goku and Piccolo struggled to take on together, with just 1 year of training. That's a bit much for me.
I suppose that's fair. I mean, I don't really have a problem as much with the Goku side of things, though, because King Kai's planet was a very arduous place to train. I mean, there was increased gravity and everything like that. It was basically the super gym. It was purely designed to be what it is. So for him to have the bigger power boost made sense to me. For him to scale quite a lot did make sense to me. So I don't really have a problem as much with that. I'm okay with Piccolo getting a lot stronger as well, because he was already very strong. I believe he would be able to power up quite a lot, because he would have been a lot stronger than Yamcha already. So I think it makes sense that he would have been able to power up enough to defeat a character such as the equivalent to a Cyberman in a year. I think he would have been able to be strong enough to do it. I don't think that would have been an issue. So someone like Piccolo, that's fine. I would have been all right with. Everyone else, yeah, I can understand Yamcha. People like Yamcha.
It's just the fact that they specifically stated that the Cybermen were the same power level as Raditz. If they didn't say that, and we
I
could
don't
have
know
just
why they had to say that. I think they literally just had to say that to give them some sort of threat.
either way, they could have. I mean, the Cybermen even in the show, were not that much of a threat because they were gone within like 2 episodes or whatever, however long they were around for, not long at all. But they could have explained that Nappa and Vegeta were stronger than Raditz without needing to compare him to this minion that everyone is defeating with ease. Like, it just kind of belittles Raditz a lot, well, which everyone already knows, but also means that everyone got so much stronger within a year, which I can't see happening that much.
Yeah. I think the thing is, we don't know how much, because a lot of people who were watching Z wouldn't have known original Dragon Ball
Hmm.
back then. So they
Yeah.
wouldn't have. It would have been a relatively new show to a lot of people.
Hmm.
Um, they wouldn't have known people like Yamcha and everything like that. So it would have been relatively okay to assume that people like Yamcha are relatively strong. That's
Hmm.
probably why it would be very easy for them to just throw that in.
Hmm.
I mean, someone like yourself who was a big fan of original Dragon Ball, um, you would have known that Yamcha wasn't exactly the best of fighters in comparison to people like Tien, Piccolo, things like that. So
Yeah.
you would have been a lot more aware,
Hmm.
and you would have expected him to struggle a lot more in comparison to them.
Hmm.
I think it probably would have been a lot more noticeable for yourself in comparison if you known that Piccolo was struggling against Raditz. So I think it would depend on the viewer more than anything else.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, as a first time viewer, watching Z without watching Dragon Ball and watching it in order as well, because that's also important, then yeah, I think it can be excused because people won't know the exact power levels of the main cast at that point. Yeah, especially that was a weird thing about Z. They started and just jumped straight in without kind of exploring any characters at all. It was just these are the characters. We're not going to tell you anything else. You just go along with it. Don't worry. Like there was no
The thing is,
introductions in
yeah,
Z.
but the thing is that, but that's why they did Z quite well because they kind of give you just enough that you understand who the characters were and that they all have been friends for a long time,
Hmm.
and that you like you okay. So these people are all friends; they've known each other for a long time, but now we can get on with it.
Yeah.
I think that's why Z was done very well. It's like you understand there's a history with them all, but you don't need to know that much more.
Yeah, I guess so, but also a lot of it is just open because yeah,
Mhm.
you don't know these. If you're a completely brand new viewer, have never heard of anything Dragon Ball, and you just jump in and see, like, who are all these people? Why do they know each other? What's their backstory? Are they all friends? Blah blah blah. And it's just there you go. So yeah, it can be excused that maybe the power levels could be seen as similar-ish to Goku and Piccolo, but even if you just know Z and you haven't seen any other Dragon Ball, you know how these characters are portrayed later in the show anyway. You know that Yamcha, Tien, and Krillin are a lot weaker than the rest of the cast. So,
I
yeah,
would say
this is literally
Tien
just.
isn't as far behind because Tien's stronger than Yamcha and Krillin.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say Tien is as far behind as the other two.
No, probably not.
Yeah, so I would say it's probably more reasonable that he would be able to keep up. And plus, he doesn't stop training. He's
That's true.
constantly training.
Mm.
So I would say for him to be able to catch up, if he knew a threat was coming in, yeah, I think it would be reasonable to say that he would be able to catch up
Mm.
if he trained a lot harder.
Yeah.
But I, Krillin and Yamcha, yeah, I would agree that probably them catching up is a little unreasonable.
Mm.
Um, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I understand Goku earns the Kaioken, that type of thing. But I'm still thinking like, yes, he was trained with King Kai, but almost like quadrupling his power level in a year of being dead or whatever, however high it goes. I'm still kind of like, that might be a bit much. I don't know. I'm not convinced myself on that one, to be honest. I don't know how I fully feel about that. It's just because I know the difference in power levels between Raditz, Nappa, and Vegeta, and it's like Goku went from struggling to taking on the top dog in Vegeta.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think it's just that he had that entire year, and King Kai was designed pretty much for that exact purpose.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that's true.
like nobody is allowed that.
Hmm.
That's what Kami basically said is that because of everything you've done, I mean, he was offered to be the guardian
Yeah.
of the planet. I mean, he's
Like, nope.
he's he's like, nah, I'm good. But basically, all the good deeds he's done was the only reason he got to keep his body, and basically, he was still going to be the protector, just not in that way.
Yeah.
And that's why he was sent to Kincaid. Nobody else gets that privilege.
Mm.
Like going to Kincaid is a big deal,
Mhm.
and that's why there's that power boost.
Yeah.
I mean, I would argue that it's a lot more earned in things like Super Saiyan and things like that.
No, I agree. For the sake of this segment, I don't want to spend too much time on one
Yeah,
single arc.
yeah.
But I do want to throw out that all of Dragon Ball, so every arc in Dragon Ball, I think it's reasonable power leveling. I don't see any arc where any character increased a massive amount in a short space of time.
Mhm.
I think Dragon Ball had a perfect power balance as it goes. There was always a new enemy, which of course there's always a new stronger enemy, but also it wasn't forced, and Goku especially still struggled throughout. With Tien, he didn't win the martial arts tournament.
He lost a lot.
Yeah, with Piccolo, he almost dies to Tambourine, just a minion. But there is power level boost there, and Goku does grow, but none big enough where I see it as any sort of problem at all. I thought Dragon Ball power leveling had the perfect scale.
I think
No
it's because
complaints.
there wasn't basically key for the most part.
Yeah,
Like
there was the
as much,
Kamehameha, and that was kind
yeah,
of it.
there was minimal key
Mm,
basically, for the most part in
mm,
comparison to obviously what there is now. So it didn't really let you have auras and things like that, and there was no Super Saiyan and things like that. There was
yeah.
no Kaioken. There was basically your odd Kamehamehas, and that was it.
Mm,
That was literally
yeah.
it. It wasn't really something you explored. And I can agree with that. The fact that your protagonist loses a lot
Mm,
is a big deal,
mhm.
uh, and I think that allows for good scaling because he did lose a lot.
Yeah, and it's something we don't see anymore, especially with Goku. We don't see him outright lose, which is a
Yeah,
shame. Like there's sometimes where he's down, but he still comes back by the end of the fight and gets the win. There's no times
yeah,
where he's down and needs to retreat and try again later. It's always
yeah,
within the same fight where he comes back and gets the win. But in Dragon Ball, there was times where he was literally defeated. He had to train more, come back, try again. I miss that now.
yeah. I think I would agree that the scaling of actual Dragon Ball was probably correct. Yeah,
Mm,
I think it's definitely got out of hand the further you went, and I think
mm,
it became quite clear. But for the sake of the Saiyan Saga, I think for the most part it's relatively balanced.
mm.
But then things changed.
Yeah, because we get to the Frieza saga and the introduction of Super Saiyan, I guess, is the big change.
Yeah,
But also, I think you can't not mention Frieza because he
yeah,
transforms 4 times and gets stronger each time.
yeah. I think that's one of the things that broke it the most.
Yeah, but also I don't quite understand it because Frieza first form arguably should have been able to defeat anyone on planet Namek at the time. Any of the Ginyu Force members, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, he should have been able to kill them all pretty easily. Let's face it, at the start of the arc, at least, yeah, that would have been fine. And then all of a sudden he transforms into second form because he's having a bit of trouble. And, Piccolo fuses with Nail, and that's how, he's kind of keeping up a bit. And then he transforms into third form, and that's quickly skipped because it's not enough, apparently. And then skips the final form. It's like, hold on, what was the change between first up to third? There's hardly any difference in power level scale in there,
And
it
then
seems.
fourth is just God mode.
Yeah. It's like Frieza goes from being able to easily defeat anyone, including Vegeta, who is the strongest on the planet at the time, probably, or maybe Captain Ginyu, depending on how you look at it. And he skips 2 forms because they're not good enough all of a sudden. Like, what? Hold on. Did Piccolo really level up that much from transforming? Did Krillin and Gohan really get that much of a power boost from Elder Guru from unlocking the potential? Like, what's going on there?
No, I think the Freezer boost was just just to show how powerful he is as the Almighty Frieza. It's just he had too much power. It was just like he went so hard when he got to fourth form. Fourth form.
Yeah.
Really, he didn't need four forms. He did not need four forms.
I would have been more than happy if he stuck with first form and then went straight to final form.
Yeah.
Second and third are
I mean,
useless.
you've got the meme. This isn't even my final form. Great. But it's the fact that he just didn't need those other two. It just didn't need to be there. Because it made this massive scaling issue that basically broke Dragon Ball. When you think about it, power scaling was broken as of the second arc. Power levels didn't matter from the second arc of Dragon Ball.
They kept it going so good through all of Dragon Ball, Saiyan Saga, kind of, maybe, sort of. And then Frieza Saga now. It's done.
Scouters are redundant as basically the second arc.
It
was really interesting. It's over 9,000 and all this everything. It's there were these interesting numbers and then now it's just
because I like the introduction of the Scouters because it showed the power levels of each of the main casts pretty much. And then within one arc later, it's okay, we've realized that people are going to keep getting stronger and stronger and we can't keep up. We can't keep putting down specific numbers on every single character because it's not going to make sense anymore. We've got to get rid of them. Let's not mention it anymore. And that was the end of it.
We can't be bothered.
Done.
Yeah. And then we have Goku who's leveling in his gravity. When the gravity breaks, he comes out of that and he just absolutely annihilates the Ginyu Force, who are this apparently terrifying crew that Vegeta is so scared of. Raccoon is absolutely battering Vegeta like he's absolutely nothing. And they're just apparently the Ginyu Force is supposed to be this terrifying crew who should just ruin everyone, and Goku comes out and just absolutely rinses them.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. Again,
and it's oh right, so you guys are nothing then.
It's they're space bandits pretty much, who are an elite warrior clan, and all of a sudden one guy coming in
slaps them about basically.
Yeah, especially Raccoon. He just gets destroyed pretty much. He gets embarrassed by Goku, which is a shame. But
I didn't have a problem with Vegeta annihilating all the lieutenants and everything like that. Frieza, that was fine. But it was the fact that they made a very specific big deal about the Ginyu Force. It was a huge deal that Frieza had called the Ginyu Force, and the narrator had made a big deal, and they were on their way, and then it was now they're done.
See, this is a thing where we were talking about last week, things would change. I've just thought of one because of the Ginyu Force. Because they were supposed to be all powerful and mighty and stuff, maybe it would have been good if someone else also survived the Saiyan saga, like a Yamcha or a Tien, someone else who could have went to Namek for the Ginyu Force to kill, just to show that they're powerful, because they didn't kill anyone the entire time, and then they were just easily dismantled. If a Tien or a Yamcha or someone else was there then, because it couldn't have been Krillin, because Krillin was the first Super Saiyan. And Gohan wasn't dying at that point, and Piccolo wouldn't have. Well, Piccolo wasn't around either. But yeah, Ginyu Force definitely weren't killing Vegeta, so they needed someone else, and there wasn't anyone. Bulma?
Immediate and mercilessly, just like that. Zero. It could have been Bulma. There's no reason it couldn't have been Bulma.
Yeah, because to be honest, she does nothing on Namek. I think they almost regret taking her, to be honest, because she's forgotten about. She's left in a cave. She doesn't do anything the entire time, and she doesn't help out at any point really that I remember. And then that's kind of it. She gets transported back to Earth at the end with everyone else.
No, they should have just took someone and had them literally just immediately killed, just to show the Ginyu Force just being brutal.
I think
just
that
zero hesitation, just annihilate them.
I mean, Bulma is one of very few characters who hasn't died at all yet, so it might have been something to see Bulma actually die.
I mean, we've seen her die in alternate timelines, but in the actual legit one, she hasn't. No.
Yeah, and
unless you count Boo.
Since they started bringing everyone else back to life at the end of that arc, anyway, it would have made like one of the Ginyu Force just to say, you know what, I'm just gonna take her out. It could have been like one of those Vidal moments in the World Tournament where she gets absolutely battered and everyone's kind of in shock, that type of thing.
Yeah.
If the Ginyu Force just did that to Bulma and killed her, that would have been a massive moment, I think.
Even if they didn't want to like show anything like brutal or anything like that, just a blast that you don't really see, just like just there, she's gone. 1 minute she's there, 1 minute she's gone. And it's just as simple as that. And then Goku gets angry and kills him, like there.
Because I don't think Bulma dying there would have changed much of the story.
No. Because if he's like, let's say Bulma dies, Goku turns up later, hears that he's killed him. He's not going to turn Super Saiyan then because he didn't see it happen. He's just going to be very angry.
Exactly.
So he wouldn't see it for it to trigger him or out like that.
Yeah.
Like seeing it happen to Krillin's what triggered him.
Yeah. And since they were going there for the Dragon Balls to bring everyone back to life anyway, I feel like Goku would have just been, okay, yes, I'm angry, obviously, but also if we still continue our mission, get the Dragon Balls, we can also just bring her back to life as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, so his power scaling is where things really started for me. He's already ridiculously strong from that gravity. And then, of course, things just got really crazy because not only have you seen the power scaling from Frieza, which is ridiculous, you then have Super Saiyan,
which can keep up,
where he basically annihilates the ridiculously strong bad guy.
Yeah.
He basically just absolutely ends up playing with him by the end. Like he leaves him. He's just like, I'm done with you. You're beaten. Like you can't keep up with. By the end, he's just basically like, you can't keep up with me. I'm done with you.
I agree, and yeah, I think the Frieza saga was probably the main big bump, the one that did kind of ruin it all. Because looking for, like, yes, the Cell saga, Gohan especially gets a lot stronger, but everyone kind of increases because of like the time chamber and the training with Trunks and everything else that happens. People are starting to get Super Saiyan, that type of thing. It's kind of, it makes sense, those power changes. Boo saga again, people did get stronger, but overall, it was kind of down to Vegito who did the job, which was a fusion, not so much just one character, and then Goku at the end, I guess, with the Spirit Bomb.
I see. Now, I would say arguably the Boo saga has the most broken, like that makes the least sense to a degree. Because you have the Boo saga where you have, when you think about it, by the end of the Cell saga, the only person who's actually got Super Saiyan 2 is Gohan, yeah? Stepping into the Boo saga, we only have one person who's got Super Saiyan 2, yeah? So by shortly into that, Goku has managed, we've got Vegeta's managed to step into Super Saiyan 2. Goku has managed to get not only Super Saiyan 2, he's then managed to step into Super Saiyan 3.
All right, yeah, good
we
point.
then jump past that and get Vegito.
I don't think that counts. I can't count Vegito as a power
which
scale.
Is it's got to be because it is because it's a power bump because it's their power levels times 10 because it's this level of power that is something we've never seen before.
Yeah,
that dwarfs the enemy.
I don't want to count it just because it's a fusion and it's two people together. It's not one singular character getting extremely strong for no reason. They know that it's a massive power boost because it's two people using together.
But it's a level. It's a level of power that our protagonists can access if they need to at some point. So if a bad guy turns up, they now have access to that stupid, and also Gotenks as well in Super Saiyan 3. So two sets of characters have access to this level of power now exists.
Mm.
And it's the fact that this level of power exists from going from
Yeah,
what
fair
we
enough.
had, the
Yeah.
highest power we had in the arc before that was Super Saiyan 2. And
Mm.
now we have this, and God knows what this is in comparison. We had one person with Super Saiyan 2, and now we have Super Saiyan 3, and then this
Fusions. Yeah.
Super
All
Saiyan
right.
3 fusions. They just went off the charts. Like how did Vegeta and Goku even get two? Never mind Goku getting three. Like how did they unlock that? We know how Gohan unlocked two. How
Mm.
did the other two unlock two?
Yeah.
Well, I
Well.
suppose I suppose Vegeta's is technically explained by him going Martian, I suppose, if you kind of want to go.
Yeah, I'll count that. That's how he got it. His
But
powers kind of
Goku
increased from margin.
is in no way explained.
Yeah.
He just kind of his two isn't explained by any means, and his three is just oh I was dead and I got this technique, which is why people do not accept three by any means and why it's memed to bits. But no
Mm.
one really talks about his two either.
Yeah.
His two isn't justified.
I agree. Yeah.
He shouldn't even have two. Never mind three. Like
Yeah. No, fair enough. Like I've got nothing really to add to that. Like you're just right. Yeah.
like it's crazy. Like his power level is not justified at all. Vegeta is more justified than him,
Mm.
which is stupid.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess again, just for time purposes, let's move on to Super. Throughout the arcs, the main transformations that happen is Red Guard, which again was kind of forced, like a forced transformation. You needed five people, you got the strength power up, that type of deal.
I
Which
didn't
is
have as much of a problem with Red God
no, I
as
didn't
I
have a
did
problem with Red.
Blue.
Yeah, Blue was the one where they just completely skipped over God, which I thought was a really cool one. And then okay, we now have Blue. Oh, all right, okay, the power of the gods in the Super Saiyan. Right, okay, that was a big power bump. But also, I guess if you're counting just arcs, we've got to go a tournament of power because it goes from Goku and Vegeta being able to go Blue God to all of a sudden mastered Ultra Instinct
Yeah.
Goku, which is another level beyond where I don't even know how you can really compare the two. It's just that much above.
I mean, yeah, they've just totally they've Red God now got to the point where it was fan service. Like
Mm.
it had its moment in the Beerus fight,
Mhm.
and then it just people were like, yeah, we like that, and then it got forgotten about, and then it became fan service for Vegeta in the Broly film, and that was it.
Yeah, it's such a shame.
And but the scaling of it did make sense because they needed strength to fight Beerus,
Mhm.
which is fine. There was some justification behind it.
Mhm.
They didn't fully give it to him because it only lasted a certain amount of time and then he lost it.
Yeah.
But then they said that you maintain some of it within you. So it was basically saying, okay, so now you've somewhat got access to the God level, but you still need to earn more of it.
Mhm.
So I was okay with that. But what they should have done is then made him that say, okay, so now you've got God. So that now means you can earn red again
Mm.
by yourself, not going to blue. They should
Yeah.
have just meant you can activate red by yourself.
Yeah.
Jumping to blue in F, it was just dumb. Like that was such a jump. That was a ridiculous jump, and that made no sense whatsoever. I don't
Mm.
understand where that came from. I don't understand how it happened so fast. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea. They just said, "We can we have this?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
And it was a crazy jump in power. And they literally the only reason they gave it to them is so they could flex on Frieza.
Mm.
It feels like it's the only reason that they gave them that quickly because they both got it and they didn't show us like at all. They just both had it in F,
Yeah.
basically.
I agree. So just to kind of wrap up, because I'm aware of time,
Yeah,
I guess the four main arcs were the Frieza arc, Boo, the Resurrection F arc, I guess you can call it, and the Universal Tournament arc. Of those four, which would you say has the biggest jump?
Resurrection F by far.
All right, I would probably argue Universal Tournament. I think
See,
would
because
kind of
I
have to
think
be.
that's one. I think that's one character. You
I
kind
don't
of
think
go.
so. I think it's kind of a mix because
Oh no, because then you've got like Vegeta's super blooper,
yeah,
like
you've got Vegeta, you've got Toppo as well. Um, you've got quite a few
Jiren
people.
being
Jiren, yeah. So
yeah.
there's quite a few people, and they need to overcome and keep getting stronger and battle back and blah blah blah. So I don't know. Just from the start of the arc to the end, like at the start of the arc, I wouldn't imagine Goku and Vegeta at normal Super Saiyan Blue to be able to do the job, and then they just keep going, and then Master Ultra Instinct is like angel level, and it's like, okay, all right, well this is massive.
Yeah, he kind of gets like ish version, and
Yeah,
then he's suddenly using full on mastered version by the end, and it's just like okay,
that was quick.
yeah.
You try it one time, and now you're a master after that. All right, I get it. But
Pushing your limits.
yeah, I guess for you guys watching, what do you think? What was the worst arc for Power Bloating? Let us know in the comments. But now we will move on to the Hall of Fame.
Let's go.